Well, for those who haven't read Nigel's updates in the programme and the website, the club's application for Academy 3 status, we're just going to talk about that today. Youth and Communities Director Nigel Higgs and two important people in the Academy, Jeremy Sauer, Mark Robertson. First of all, Nigel, explain what the situation is, please.
Yeah, I'll start off with a bit of background, Chris, because not everyone is completely up to date with where we are. But over the last 2 seasons, we've been operating under youth development rules called the Elite Player Performance Plan, or EPPP. At the beginning of last season, a round of audits was started by an independent standards organisation who come into clubs and assess their suitability for operating academies in the English game. We've been operating at Category 3 for the last season and a half under a licence granted by the Football League. Back in the autumn, it was our turn to be audited by the auditors, by the ISO, and that was a process of submitting documentation into an online tool and then a visit over 4 days from the beginning of November. That process is incredibly thorough. It's an awful lot of work that's gone into completing that, and that process was complete at that stage, and we then have gone through the last couple of months waiting to find out the outcome. About 3 or 4 weeks ago we got a draft report. Jeremy and myself then attended a meeting with the auditors which ran through that, updated some of their findings, clarified a few things, gave us feedback, and then a couple of weeks we got the final report. And unfortunately we didn't reach the required standard for a Category 3, which is what sort of League 1, League 2 clubs are largely operating as. That system is for teams from under 9 to under 18. We run under 21s in addition to that, and you receive funding across all of those age groups. The recommendation of the auditors at that stage was that we would operate at Category 4, which is only at under 18 or under 21 level. So obviously that's a devastating result with very serious consequences for the club, for all the players, all the staff, and importantly as well for the ambitions of the club. So a couple of things have changed since we've heard that result. One of the main reasons that we fell as far short as we did was a system called productivity. And you kind of think back to why this system has been put in place in the first place, largely dictated by the Premier League. It's to produce English professional football players, and it was felt the previous system was falling short in that. So productivity means how many players you as a club have produced that are currently playing English professional football. And as a new club to the league, it was impossible for us to score any points in that direction. So following representations by the Football League to the Professional Game Board, who govern the whole process for youth development, we've been given the opportunity for a re-audit, but taking out the productivity score that would have been required. This gives us a much fairer playing field to operate on and a very good chance of achieving that. So the club has been very supportive, the Board of Directors, the Dons Trust, the First Team Management. We've all agreed that we should go for that re-audit. We're going to do that in about 7.5 weeks' time now, towards the back end of April or early May, and then we'll be assessed again in full, but without having to score these productivity points. So that really means a lot more work for us to do, but it gives us a great opportunity to reverse this decision and get us back where we want to be and where we need to be if we're to get the strategy of the club pushed through and develop our own players.
And you've got Jeremy and Mark either side of you there. What's the way forward in terms of their roles?
Yeah, one of the things that there's a set of best practices that the auditors recommend. So if you bear in mind, it's all about pushing up standards and trying to make sure that players and coaches and the whole system is run at a professional level. One of the recommendations they have is that the academy manager role should primarily be about management and administration of the system. Jeremy, in his role as operations manager up until now, has been the person leading us through that process, managing most of the input into the audit tool, the liaison with the Football League, and making sure we were understanding what we needed to achieve. And we should bear in mind as well, I've not touched on this yet, but we've come an awful long way in the last couple of years to get to where we are, from a standing start pretty much in the Football League. So Jeremy has been performing that role effectively as operations manager, and with Mark as the academy manager. Now, it's very, very difficult to do that kind of administrative role and also be the head of the coaching department and running the scholars section, which in itself is a full-time role. So Mark's skills and attributes and ambitions are more in the coaching direction. So there's a role which is called the head of coaching, which is responsible for all of the coaches, the coaching curriculum, the professional development of the coaches, and ensuring that we're developing the players to the required level. So Mark is going to move across into that role where he's best suited, and he's going to become the head of coaching, and Jeremy is going to take on the formal title of academy manager and fulfil that role.
Brilliant. Jeremy, bringing in you, obviously some supporters will have read in the past about the development centres bringing things in. The academy's really moved on in recent years. How do you see you bringing this forward in your new role again?
Practically, Chris, not a lot's going to change for now, because as Nigel explained, I was in my role as operations manager. I've been sort of project managing, if you like, the whole process towards this EPP audit. So practically, for the time being, not a lot's going to change in terms of what we're doing. I'm still going to make sure that the first and foremost thing that we do is to get over this hurdle, which, as Nigel's alluded to, there's things now going in our favour. The productivity is not there. We're a little bit further down the line as well, Chris. So when we got audited in November, there was a lot of paperwork, a lot of documentation, a lot of process and protocol that was quite new to us. It was at the beginning of the season. We were one of the first Cat 3 clubs to get audited. So now we're going to get audited at the end of the season. We feel that time period is going to help us embed our programme more anyway. So really the next sort of 8 weeks leading up to us submitting our documentation again into the audit tool, and then thereafter having the audit, is really just about making sure that we're staying on top of that, and we're taking on board all of the ISOs, the auditors' observations from the first audit, and trying to put right some of those things. And we're already through that process already. We've already sat down with all the academy management team. We've gone through our action plan. We've got week-to-week deadlines of what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and how we're going to try and make sure we get the required points to get over this hurdle. So we're very confident, and we're just working very, very hard again to make sure that we get through this. After that process, then we sit down and we can make sure that we're getting down to the real job of trying to develop players for the first team and really get that priority back on that.
And you touched upon my next question there, that that is the ultimate goal, producing players, but supporters will have seen young lads getting introduced to the academy from the pre-academy. How important is that aspect as well as the community side of things?
Yeah, it's massive. All the way through this process, which has been going on for the last year and a half for us, we've made sure that we haven't neglected our player development programme, and I think we've done a really good job of balancing the two. All our squads have got boys in it from under 18s and 21s down to under 9s that we feel have got the potential to get their way through the system and up into first team professional football. So it's massive. The EPPP has been a massive amount of workload on us as a Cat 3 club, but it's been loads of things in there that's helped us, and the process and the protocols and how professional now we have to run the whole operation has only been of a benefit really in the long term to us developing players. So we've embraced it. We're just having to make sure that we're getting over this last hurdle, and then all those things put together, we feel that we can continue to really sort of push boys forward in towards the first team.
Thanks, Jeremy. Bringing in Mark. Obviously, you at the sort of top end of trying to bring lads through the under-18s right through to the first team.
Yeah.
Now, how important is it these younger lads are coming through from very young age so you can develop them?
Yeah, massively important, Chris. So, that is what it's all about. That is part of our ethos is bringing through young boys, local boys as well, right the way through, and that's what we've got at the moment with our current under-18. So it's massively important. And I just want to sort of reiterate that this is about processes. This isn't about the fact that we're not good at what we do. We haven't got quality players. We've got 16-year-olds playing under 21 football. We've got boys throughout our all age groups playing up. this is just about processes and living it. And obviously, because we're new, we've only been a pro club for 2 years. Other clubs have been doing this 12, 14 years. So it's just about us living everything that we do, basically. And that's going to be my job over the next 7 weeks, making sure the curriculum is embedded and the coaches fully understand everything they need to do. So it's not about the fact our standard of our players we've got at the club. It is just about processes and living those processes. So that's what we're going to be working hard to do.
And Nigel explained the differences in job titles. I mean, your passion is really coaching and bringing these lads on. I mean, that really suits you.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, I've been academy manager and I was proud to be academy manager, but that was just the way we panned out. We come through Sunday League football and I'd set up the under-18s and that was the role I took on. But I've always worked closely with Jeremy because he worked with the younger boys, and I was kind of doing 30% of the academy manager role whilst being on the training pitch for 5-6 days a week. This isn't about job titles and that, this is about what's doing best for the club, and Jeremy's the best man to be academy manager. He's based in the office, he's great at leading things, and that's what he's best to do, and I'm out coaching, so that's my best role. So it's just about putting people in place where they're going to take the club where we need to do. So it's the best thing it's the best move.
Mark, Nigel, Jeremy, I've seen all your hard work myself, and best of luck with all this going forward.
Cheers,
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.